There are many controversial people online. Some are just funny in a weird way, but others are quite obscure and disturbing. Horrorcows are just that. And in this video I have prepared for you 4 individuals with quite interesting backstories, which I wanna share with you in this custom iceberg chart I made. Trigger warning, because some of the things can be a bit upsetting. Also, I am open for suggestions, so if you have somebody that needs to be on this chart, leave a comment. If you didn't watch the first part, don't worry at all, you can always do it after this one. I won't bother you any longer, so thanks for tuning in and enjoy the second layer of the Horrorcows iceberg chart.
Well, Batman, basically you messed up. You let 5 people die.
𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙬 is a very odd entry to start this layer, but that's a good thing. Online he is known as Shoenice and he is a YouTube personality. The thing he is famous for is for his extreme eating and drinking stunts. He was born in Albany, New York on May 30, 1969. A odd thing is that he is actually a military veteran. It's not an odd thing that he served his country, but it's odd the path he chose, at least regarding to his health. Because trying to eat everything you find in your house isn't the smartest thing to do, but I guess glue and paper are a winning combo.
I can get this goddamn glue flowing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, bro. How bad are you now, Facky J? On your mark, get your face, get set, no face, doesn't Shoenice.
Besides this information, there is little or no info about his personal life. That's a good thing for us, as we can skip to 2010, when he had his breakthrough on YouTube with his unconventional and dangerous videos. His content primarily consists of eating or drinking unusual and hazardous substance, often in large quantities, which has garnered both fascination and concern from his viewers. Well, it's something you could see in Jackass. So, is he some type of a Stevie O from 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚𝙧𝙗? Well, sort of. Well, mukbangs are dangerous, but this is the level 2, I guess, where mukbangs can be dead over time due to eating high amounts of unhealthy food. This is a new level. Chris would eat almost everything his viewers suggest, from consuming entire rolls of toilet paper, eating non-foods such as eating glue sticks, candles and chopsticks. He even tried to eat a shoe. He would also try his luck with liquid things, like for example gulping large quantities of alcohol, but sometimes his videos would be quite simple and he would try to eat spicy food. I don't feel comfortable to show you everything he does, as I don't want to spread this nonsense. I'm quite aware that this makes people laugh and obviously tune in, but morally it feels very wrong. Like, if you need money and I tell you to drink a liter of vodka in one sip for 50 bucks, would you do it? And now who is here to blame? But I don't think we should blame the guy who took the 50 bucks, but rather the one who actually offered it. You are smart and you probably know what I mean by this.
Oh, the burn. It's just a little burn, not a bad burn. Not as bad as the burn. Oh. I got some orange juice and vodka just to help me out. I do a little shot before it. Oh, man, that burns. Hold on.
So it's no wonder that he was criticized by promoting dangerous behavior. Many health experts and concerned viewers have pointed out the potential risk associated with ingesting non-food items. This should be clear as day. But again, I don't think he doesn't care about his health too much. But you know how the internet works. Shock value and his eccentric personality managed to raise quite a dedicated following over the years, despite all these concerns.
Haven't eaten this in a while. It sticks to your teeth like taffy. Thank you.
But his life wasn't without personal problems. If we can ignore his eating disorder, let's call it so, he also struggled with alcoholism and homelessness. His online persona and content had often been closely connected to his struggles, adding a depth to his extreme challenges and the reasons behind them. The problem was that his willingness to engage in dangerous activities for the sake of the views has influenced a niche segment of YouTube content creators. Most of his stunts were often requested by specific people who donated money to his channel. In 2013, he set the Guinness World Record for eating the most lit birthday cake candles in 1 minute and 12 seconds. Like, why is this even a thing, and why is it endorsed and was put in the Guinness book?
Shoenice trying to set a Guinness World Record for swallowing lit birthday candles. He needs to keep those candles down, and right now he's coughing something into his hand.
He also sits at almost 190,000 subscribers currently, and he's still producing videos. As I would find out, he also apparently quit drinking 2018 due to fear of not dying from alcohol poisoning. His content serves as a stark reminder of the potential dangers of seeking online fame through extreme and bizarre actions. He didn't harm anybody but himself. And what for? Well, for people's entertainment. I don't know if this is sad or not, but it's definitely disturbing if you're willing to sink so low to find attention and fame or just to earn money. I don't blame him so much, but rather the system, I guess. Hard to say, so let's move to the next entry.
Either way, guys, Shoenice again. Basically, I'm promoting a lot of things right now. I got back on Twitter X, 2,000 followers in a week. I'm selling products on TikTok. I'm just getting back in the game that I lost being a drunk troll. I've almost lost 50 pounds. That'll happen probably by Monday. I'm fasting, staying healthy. Either way, we got a sort of clean bill of health from the doctor. But what I'm doing is not deleting videos anymore, and I'm just doing family friendly.
Because guess what? One day I'm gonna get by the hottest of age goth chick that's biologically female, and it's gonna be consensual, and she'll be alive.
Well, is King Cobra actually a horror cow or a Cobra cow is something I'll let you to decide, but the King himself is many things, like a streamer, guitarist, a songwriter, and a Vaunt creator.
Get tired, it's a wonder I'm not swimming in pussy right now, I'm just saying.
King Cobra is like a tornado, but more like a self-destructive tornado, as he is only destroying his life with his obscure and weird decisions.
Oh, you. That only works if you're not white.
But a man who begs for a sex doll from his viewers can't be that bad.
Yeah, I'll give the trolls a fucking meme to fuck with.
Well, he also killed Pet Mantis and glue it onto one of his wands. Well, I don't think the things I just said make him look any better. But let's take a look at his early life. King Cobra's obsession with Snake started with an early age when he played an educational computer game called Buzz the Knowledge Bug.
Boy, those two pigs at the trough are really pigs.
And at that time he also started to watch Steven Irwin's special episode about spitting cobras, and he was completely obsessed with that.
Crikey, that water's warm. This is the ancient spit.
But his early life wasn't so great, from the fact that his mother refused to breastfeed him, so she was serving him baby formulas which caused him bleeding.
Oh, how lovely. How lovely.
I think that definitely doesn't sound good at all, and his parents would also divorce when he was still little, and that's perhaps a reason why he developed attention disorder.
Somebody died in her blood.
As a child, he would often be bullied, at one point so much that the bus driver needed to stop the bus to help Cobra out. As the years went by, Cobra wasn't your typical child, and his mother would also quickly realize that. Then she decided to throw him into a church program so he could find his path, which didn't have any success at all.
Got her positioned on my lap here so we can do this thing.
Over the time, he started to evolve into the form we know him today. In the middle school, he created a cult based on his two favorite colors, black and green.
Now, me and my friend, I started this little gang with my friends. We practiced magic, we hung out, we smoked,
And this was the time he actually adopted his nickname as King Cobra.
King Cobra with another video. Now I'm going to attempt to...
It first started as a fun joke of a cult which somehow ended up almost being a pseudo-religion, which was combined with extra sprinkle of God and cringe for better or worse, as he made a whole lore about it.
Whoa!
He even wanted to write a book about it, but thanks to God we didn't get this, as his book would probably put in jeopardy all the religious book we got today.
Now, just because a mongoose is able to overpower a cobra in the wild doesn't make that true in the demon world of my religion. As a matter of fact, cobra demons are more powerful than the mongoose demon, okay? Now, how do you join up? Very easy. You swear your alliance to Cobra Tankobusi's Cobra, you pray to them.
Also, quite funny thing that I found out that he begged his father to buy him GTA San Andreas, and when he did, his father was absolutely terrified and disgusted when he saw what Cobra would do to the hookers in the game, so he immediately threw the CD away and forbade him from playing the game, mostly because he had some concerns about what the game could do to his still developing and creative mind.
What's an anorexic's favorite food? Air. Oh my god, Sean. That's not helping. No, it's not.
His father would also quite often ban him from computer and other electrical stuff to do something more useful in his life. But this all changed when he moved out, but we will touch upon this particular part of his life, because there are still things I wanna touch upon in his early life, like a special girl named Demi. Demi was one of many girls who were into Cobra, well, so much that she would quite frequently kick him in the balls because of it. Cobra, the gentleman he is, he never seek any vendetta because of it. This nuts-making ritual would continue for months. It was so bad that his parents actually begged the girl to stop hitting Cobra's jewelry. Plot twist, Cobra actually thought that 𝙀𝙗𝙚 was into him and that she didn't know how to express her love besides kicking his avocados. But one day Cobra would go to 𝙀𝙗𝙚, pick her up and throw her to the ground, and the era of the nut smacking has ended.
And I'm like, well, you're not gonna twist my autistic nipples that hard. I'll see what I can do. Oh, you give me the money and I'll make it happen.
Was this violence justified after months of harassment, or should Cobra just allow the girl to ring his fraternity bells until all of the eternity? His father would also say that Cobra has very poor hygiene and refuses to brush his teeth or even shower.
Get yourself some tactical soap, and you too can smell as sexy as I do.
Where there is a problem, there is a solution, and that's Axe body spray, especially the chocolate one. He would basically overdose on this stuff, and I don't wanna get into how he smelled after 3 days of not showering and then spraying himself with Axe. But enough of his early life. Where is Cobra nowadays? Cobra started a channel named King Cobra 52, where he would share his gothic swag and was showing off his musical skills.
Feel the chill crawling at the back of your neck. It's hard to spell.
From the early stage of the channel, people would figure out that he was kind of special and they would start to pick on him. Today Cobra is known for streaming his everyday life, but also his downfall, as there is no other explanation to it. His streams would consist mostly of him consuming huge amounts of tobacco and alcohol, accompanied by the most important part, and that's oversharing the most dirty parts of his life. As he moved out from his father's apartment, things wouldn't get any better.
Oh, I'm 𝙄𝙘𝙚𝙚𝙗𝙚, the French avatar. Oh, sacré bleu.
In April of 2018, the police showed up at his door due to noise complaints during a stream, because he would often get drunk, puke and start to scream while he was streaming. Things that every neighbor loves to hear in the middle of the night. But don't let Cobra's gothic persona fool you. As you can guess, there are plenty of wild eras of his life documented online. I don't wanna dive into his relationships he had over the years, as this pulls us away a bit from the core of this video, but most of his girls were matches from dating sites, including a crackhead without teeth. But I wanna dive into the time he felt a bit lonely in his life. He has a hyperdrive, you know what I mean, and his needs need to be satisfied. First, he got a flashlight to light up his mood. Somehow he wasn't very fond of and used it once, then threw it away. So we are entering the doll era, where he begged his followers to gather money so he could buy himself a play doll.
With another unboxing video. And I had a fan of mine send me something. Yeah.
But one of his fans actually gifted him a used but well-maintained doll, whatever this means. Cobra was quite happy, in fact so much happy that he broke the poor thing in half.
Of course I was happy with it, and then my tore a huge gash in the... And I was embarrassed and frustrated that I couldn't fix it, and that, well, nice go, you broke your way, of all things.
He was so embarrassed by the story that he told his friends the doll was stolen. And this is just insane. Just imagine somebody breaking into your house and stealing your doll, which landed on Uniland with a title, "Guy's story about having his doll stolen is pure insanity." So Cobra got some public light besides his channel. Well, Cobra would continue to beg his fans for a new doll, which cost just over 2k. He managed to gather the money and get the doll. He would use the doll a few times, but the problem was he used the wrong soap to clean it up, and the doll's skin started to peel off and the doll would slowly start to fall apart. just like his life. But his life wasn't falling apart because of the use of soap, as this is something he desperately needs, but rather from his unhygienic conditions and heavily alcohol and tobacco abuse.
Stay the fuck out of my hand, you piece of shit! I'll smoke you until you're dead! Fuck you!
But rather from his unhygienic, heavy alcohol and tobacco abuse. Some of the things that started to happen to him is his hair loss, his cognitive functions being quite slow, and he started to slur while he speaks, and sometimes he would just mumble things that nobody could understand.
I only got like one little sip left, and I'm sick of it! I hate being clumsy!
A more concerning thing is that Cobra also faced some backlash for his mistreatment of animals, with some instances caught on video, and the others he admitted to.
What?
On September 6, 2021, he found a praying mantis on his curtain, which he decided to keep as his pet and named her Mrs. Green. And like we established, green was one of his favorite colors, so there was a special bond between them. However, on September 11, 2021, he blew smoke on her and tried to feed her with her homemade drinks, which left the poor thing barely able to move. Cobra then took her aside on September 18, 2021 and confirmed that Mrs. Green has died. Cobra then thought the most logical thing to do is to cover her body in hot glue and put it on a stuff which he sold on Etsy. It's nice that Cobra immortalized his pet in such a magical way. So yeah, he was also selling wands online to make a few bucks for a living, and the wands did sell quite well despite being not so good.
They're definitely very smooth, but there's a quality check. See what I'm saying?
Also, he was evicted from his apartment as he would smoke indoors and would use blowtorches for his wands, which is definitely a quite dangerous thing.
Warlord Campbell, my apprentice on wand making, and he's learning the finer arts of it, yeah.
He also once admitted that he found a baby bird in a parking lot after falling from his nest, and he ran over it with a bike to put it out his misery. But the biggest backlash he's got was about his bearded dragon lizard called Puff, or called by some Puffington.
I'm more connected with Puff emotionally than any of you miserable sad losers out there.
Puff was very neglected and poorly treated. Cobra gave Puff an excessive amount of pellets, blew weed smoke into his tank, and even managed to lose Puff for a few days in his house.
You are so cute.
So he is cute.
Oh my god.
And he would occasionally just dump his own food into his tank without cleaning up. On August 12, 2023, Puff began twitching. Some would say it's a sign of nutrition deficiency or other medical problems.
I love my puffers. I gave him some fresh water in his dish, and he was just soaking in it, chilling out. I watched him take a huge gulp of water. I just got done spraying him with some water. The water in the mist bottle is literally lukewarm. Oh, Puff, you're good. Puff, you're good. It's okay. It's okay, Puffers.
On November 16, 2023, Cobra revealed on Facebook that Puff had gone missing. According to his sister, Puff ran away after Cobra took him outside. Due to the low temperatures in his region, it can result that this can be quite harmful when not fatal to this reptilian dragon. And many of Cobra's followers presume that Puff was dead. And I don't know how Mr. Puff, a lizard in cold condition, could outrun Cobra, but well, he did. But that's the life of King Cobra, a roller coaster ride of weird and bad decisions, but also mistreatment of animals. Is he a real horror cow is yet debatable, but again we are only at the second layer. The last update we have, I think, is that he was thrown out his place and he moved back to his father, who banned him once again from using any type of social platforms.
I woke up in the middle of the early morning to fart, and as soon as I farted, I myself a little bit. I'm like, oh no, bathroom. And I didn't realize it had happened until I went to go pull up my pants and go back to bed. And I'm like, oh, really? Come on. I'm like, whatever. So I passed out with my shoes on. So here I am trying not to get poop on my fucking self. And it wasn't that much. It was a little teeny tiny bit. But it was enough that you would have felt it. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, son.
Superman, oh, Superman, oh. Great. You think I'm gonna actually...
Anthony Legato's story is quite unusual. His story is connected with a YouTuber we will touch upon. Spoiler alert, it's Chris Chan. I felt like I didn't do him any justice in the lolcows iceberg, so this chart will do him some justice, as he can be now considered as a horror cow. For the sake of this video, if you don't know who Chris Chan is, which I highly doubt, he is a very well-known and documented online personality who became famous for his webcomic 𝙀𝙗𝙚𝙗𝙚 and his extensive trolling that he endured over the years. Now, Anthony is a man originally from New York, who was the first person, as I could figure it out, to become something known as a ChrisTuber. What's that? Well, a ChrisTuber is a creator who solely focuses on Christian.
I am, of course, Anthony Legato once again, and I am going to do a commentary on another Christian video.
Does this mean I'm a ice-tuber or a berg-tuber? Because I love to cover icebergs? I don't know. But back to the story. ChrisTubers would often discuss various aspects of Christian's life, like his online activities, but they often are connected with extensive trolling and harassment. Their content could also range from simple documentary-style overviews to commentary videos and analysis of Christian's latest action.
I don't mind gay people myself. The thought of it is just painful. It's like, oh god, my ass. One question. How do they sit down afterwards? But enough of that.
Anthony, or 𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙗𝙗, was such a YouTuber. 𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙗𝙗 would be quite extreme of his criticism. He created videos and content that intensely mocked and ridiculed Chris.
Actually, your ass is non-existent. I had the misfortune of seeing your stupid that shower video you did. Yeesh. You, sir, are lacking up
expressing a deep-seated hatred that went beyond your typical trolling. Comparing Chris to some very bad people I don't wanna mention now. He would often go to great lengths to ridicule and belittle Chris Chan. Sometimes it felt very personal. He really went all out on this while creating these videos.
Okay, you fail at life, you fail at drawing, you fail at socializing, and you fail at what is it you're doing, man?
And you know how this goes. We don't support any type of hate on this channel, so don't go out of your way and don't harass any of the people we talk about. Anthony, most famously and arguably most embarrassing moment, was where he was making a video where he watched 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙧𝙯 sex tape while making cringe-worthy commentary.
Basically, in a rant that I was working on, I mentioned that I saw the Christian tape. Most people, I believe, are a little bit questioning on whether or not I've actually seen it. So, once again, I'm going to waste another 7 minutes and 40 seconds of my life just to prove it to you people. Plus, I just hope I could find something funny about it. I mean, wait, don't turn around. Yeah. Oh god, your ass, dude, your ass.
And also the time he did a very terrible stand-up routine at a local comedy club.
She knew how to go down on a beat saber. Very, very good. Oh yes. I do a lot of...
Also, something I found out but I can't really confirm is that he apparently once was fired from his job at a radio station for watching porn in the studio. But then something quite weird started to happen. Over time, members of the trolling community behind Christian began to notice that 𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙦 exhibited behaviors similar to those he mocked Chris for. This included lack of self-awareness, engaging in bizarre activities, and showing signs of delusional thinking.
You know what? You can't even spoon right. I can do this better than you. Oh, God.
And over time, he became a lolcow or horrorcow, dare I say it.
What is behind me might be something that would get your mom pissed off. Well, except for mine, who is a liberal. Yep, hentai.
He became what he ridiculed the most, a Chris. Well, a Chris clone to make it even worse. This would lead that 𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙦's own eccentric and disturbing behaviors came to light.
You spent 2 months offline letting me enjoy my freedom from commentating on your dumb ass, and this is what happens? Every time I try to commentate on other idiots, he always finds a way to rear his ugly, balding head back online.
And he was increasingly seen as a hypocrite, and his nickname would become a synonymous word for hatred towards Chris, which often would lead to obsessive behavior about him. 𝙄𝙗𝙧𝙦 still maintains somewhat of an online presence and has a Twitter account related to his voice acting work, but he rarely, if ever, mentions Chris in these posts at all. His fame peaked with his rants about Chris, but at the end of the day he faded into obscurity. And I don't know how many people will actually remember this guy, but this is the story of an individual who spent a lot of energy to spread hate, but what for? Well, at least he's immortalized on my channel and in this iceberg chart. He's definitely a bizarre troll with quite self-destructive nature.
One fine thing about this, you ought to see a lot of cosplayers, like this gentleman here. Who are you being? Who are you cosplaying as?
Julie!
I actually have some pretty exciting news to announce to all of you. Maybe not all of you are gonna like it necessarily, but
it's taco time. I'm a taco, look at me, watch me dance.
Okay, and what do we know his name at all?
It's Chris Hansen.
Onision is one of those people who loves to strike down other people's content, because he simply doesn't want people to talk about him. But this won't stop me from doing just that. The only difference is for this part of the video I am forced to use some random gameplay footage and photos for the sake of not being struck by the almighty Onision. Lame I know, but that's how some people just are. Now, who is Onision and why he doesn't love it when people talk about him? Well, maybe because of the abuse threesome he had with a minor? Perhaps? I am not quite sure. Maybe this is also the reason why his comment section is turned off. But let's take a few steps back and see who Gregory Jackson or Onision really is. Greg is an American YouTuber who we can consider one of the OGs, as he has his channel before 2010. He blew up at the same time as Shane Dawson did. His early life is somewhat of a mystery, as he doesn't love to talk about it. But it's believed he was born or at least lived in Oregon at some point of his upbringings, due to him mentioning he was going to school there. His early life, like the 3 entries before, wasn't the best, which is somewhat of a reoccurring theme through these layers. Greg's parents divorced when he was only 2 years old, and his father was convicted of committing a sexual crime against a minor. This begs the question of how Greg processes this stuff in his head. At the age of 15, Greg was also physically attacked by his father, as he wanted to strangle him. Greg retaliated in self-defense by repeatedly kicking him in the chest. All of that reflected that he suffered from depression and suicide thoughts in the high school. These struggles didn't stop there, as they would continue in his adulthood. He recounts one story where he had a he said while he was serving in the Air Force, and he wanted to end it all. He said this was a very dark time of his life. He recovered from depression multiple times, and he started to use his experience to aid others, which isn't good at all, as you will see. Greg is also very close to his mother, who had also appeared in his videos, for example, Ghost Caught on Camera. When we take a look at Greg's career, he was known to be very controversial. His views and thoughts would not often align to other people's belief. In April of 2009, Greg uploaded a video called Murderers Eat. In the video he rants about the population of the world that eats meat, saying he doesn't give a fuck about their opinions and going so far as calling them murderers. This video was eventually deleted, potentially because of the criticism he received, which isn't so surprising after all. He made his channel back in 2006 and created multiple accounts over the years. Greg has also written 2 novels that are a mixture of real events and fictional ones, and his videos are quite all over the place, as sometimes he can be quite cheerful and happy, and in others he seems quite mentally unstable. By his own account, he has said that his change in personality depends on the video he was releasing and based on the beliefs he had about the video. What Greg quickly realized is that his main audience were American girls in the range of 13 and 16 years old. And this is the part where things get a bit dark. Greg has been often criticized by other people because he tries to manipulate his audience by releasing a video he knows they will react to, and that's why he releases videos that are a bit on the darker side, and he is often criticized for his views about abuse and depression, as he's continuously partaking in blaming victims of abuse and also asserted that depression is their fault, which is also opinion to have. Greg at one point made a video called Rise Above Hate, where he told a teenage girl with such thoughts brought on abuse at the hands of her mother to take matters into her own hand. Greg was once again criticized for this, with some commentators claiming that his statements show that he lacks the knowledge and awareness regarding the and abuse. 2012 also marks a bitter era for Greg, as allegations arose that he had raped or otherwise forced a particular sexual act upon Adrienne while they were two dating in 2011. These allegations arose in the mid-2011. Again, those allegations are always a messy stuff to get into. This was followed by a string of highly controversial videos created by Greg as public statements about Adrienne, and infamously commenting that she had sex with more than 20 people before him, making her a slut and incapable of being raped, which just begs the question in what type of delusional world Greg is living in. This statement led to media headlines, resulting in over thousands of users criticizing Greg and over 50,000 YouTubers petitioning that his partnership with YouTube should be revoked or that he needs to get banned from YouTube. Eventually he made an apology video in 2013. In a video posted to his channel in early December of 2018, Greg talked about that he had some minor involvement with the furry community as a teenager. Although he never identified as a furry, he mentioned feeling very welcome among them. Is this something positive or negative? I want you to decide, but the furry community did have some rough time late due to some people among them. No pun intended. Furries are a topic that will get a standalone iceberg at one point on my channel, but the biggest problem with Greg was his attraction to his younger audience, as it was revealed over the years. Now let's touch upon the most disturbing part of Greg. Besides the dramas and the outbursts he had, meet Sarah, a 11-year-old girl who stumbled upon his channel through recommendations. Sarah was in a bad place at that time in her life. She said that his videos would influence many of her opinions she had at the time. Sarah was also a huge fan of 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚, which was Greg's wife at the time, and she would stay very active in the community. She started even interacting with 𝙀𝙭𝙥𝙚 on social media over the next years.
I actually reached out through Twitter, and I would just like I would tweet him a couple times, but I really started tweeting his spouse 𝙀𝙭 a lot, and that's kind of who first noticed me. At that time, 𝙀𝙭 identified as a woman, but has since come out as transgender. Greg would also make Sarah her crush Wednesday when she was only 13 years old. She even joined a group chat, which was a way for Greg to get in touch with his fans. She felt very validated that she received attention from her idols, which helped her during these dark times. She would later state that Greg and 𝙀𝙭 definitely saw someone very vulnerable at the time, and they quickly realized that she has some emotional needs that aren't fulfilled at her home. And this was definitely a way to show the poor Sarah the glitz and the glamour of her life and the internet personalities they are. The problem was that these things would take a road very quickly. They would start off with sending each other photos in underwear,
Sarah would say that they were like the three musketeers, and she would also comment how Greg thought of her to being very cute, which is quite alarming. Things would get quite heated as 𝙀𝙭 would post inappropriate pictures of Greg, and 𝙀𝙭 would also frequently discuss the side of Greg's. Yeah, Sarah was desperately in love with 𝙀𝙭, and she would do everything to be just one step closer to her, and because of that she even sent explicit images to 𝙀𝙭. Greg and 𝙀𝙭 planned to meet up with Sarah, but they wanted to wait, as they would figure out the age of consent in Washington is 16.
And I went and visited them. The trip was planned since I was 15, but I went and visited them September of 2016.
And did they hold off? Did they hold off until you were 16 for a reason? Was this deliberate?
Yeah.
And why was that? So they wouldn't be breaking the law?
Yeah, that basically it was agreed upon by them, and then they told me that they weren't gonna like have me visit or anything.
This spiraled even more down as Sarah was invited to live with them, and they even gained the full custody over her because things weren't so good at home, but her mother didn't know about any of the stuff that happened. The worst part is that after she was adopted, they would frequently check every penny she spent. She would often be pressured to clean the house, and she would take care of their children at the age of 16. Then it was relieved that Sarah, if she wanted to stay in a relationship with them, needed to be included in a threesome relationship with Greg. He would also take the role of the puppet master and tell them what to do.
So they both essentially lured you into a relationship. Is that fair to say?
Oh yeah, Greg was like the, how do I put it? He, for the whole relationship part, at least the second time around when I was about to be 18.
Right.
He was like the puppet master. He was being like, oh, you guys should do this. Oh, you guys should kiss. You guys should.
So he was. Well, let's go
and
back
suddenly,
to the visit
somehow, Greg would break up with Sarah because she would act up while watching an Aladdin movie, which is just like, what the fuck. But okay. But now let's go to 2019, where Chris Hansen, a very well-known TV personality famous for To Catch a Predator, launched a YouTube channel and began an extensive investigation into Greg, documenting all of the allegations and abuse towards his ex-girlfriends and the grooming of underage girls. Over the several months, Greg would threaten Chris, calling him a stalker and a hater for covering his most controversial activities. After interviewing several of Greg's alleged victims, Chris would do then what he does the best, and that's to directly walk up to Greg's home. This happened on January 18, 2020. So Chris can prove his side of the story. When Chris knocked on Greg's door, Greg would call the police, accusing Chris of online harassment and starting a campaign against him and his family. However, when the police arrived, they found Greg's claims insufficient for harassment, and Chris was not charged.
Camera people, like they're YouTube stalkers.
As you watch this, it's important to remember that all the camera crews, sound guys, and attorney Mike Morris stayed on the street when I went up to knock on James Jackson, Gregory Jackson, Onision's door to see if he would talk to me. I've been doing this for some 40 years. I didn't get into YouTube to start journalism, but I did take my brand of journalism to YouTube to expose alleged predators.
Okay, but no weapons seen?
I didn't see any weapons. I just saw like 6 guys in my driveway, and one of them is knocking on my door.
Okay, 1 second here. And the one that's knocking on your door, is he the main one that you said has been stalking you?
Yes, he's a stalker. He's yelling things at me through the door right now.
It's ironic that Onision says I've been stalking him, when in fact he's the one accused of stalking his young female victims on YouTube and on various social media platforms. He also went so far as to take my video from interviews and splice them together with video of him, making it falsely look like I asked him some questions. Absurd.
Okay, and what do we know his name at all?
It's Chris Hansen.
Okay, H.A.
Chris would continue to produce content about Greg, and he even contacted the FBI because of this.
James's demeanor on this 911 call is dramatically different from what we've seen recently on his YouTube videos, where he's variously claimed that he's having some sort of a breakdown, upset that people are approaching him on the street. saying that his condition is somehow a result of a dog having sex with him when he was younger.
Yeah.
Also, a very horrible thing that happened only 2 days after Chris's visit was that Greg's young daughter fell off a second-story window at 20-foot fall. This resulted the poor baby got her skull fractured. This sparked further outrage, and his husband Kay were neglecting parents and were not caring about the well-being of the child. There is a whole documentary about his life released, which dives quite in depth into all of this stuff if you're interested.
Shut up!
I was 17 by the time he said that he loved me. He was 25, and his main concern was we weren't going to be able to have the state I was in.
On February 9, 2023, it was reported that a lawsuit was being filed against Gregory and Kai. Why? Well, because they used his YouTube channel and popularity to groom minors and force them to have sex with them. Sarah would also sue them in 2023, but also YouTube and Google for giving them a platform with full monetizations despite everything that happened. His Patreon would also be deleted over time because he shared some private numbers, but his YouTube is still up. He's still producing videos. At this time of writing, he even made few new videos.
How many victims are out there, do you think? I brought this up before, but I mean, are we talking about a dozen? More than a dozen? I mean, we're talking to at least 3 right now.
Victims? Oh yeah, there has to be at least 10.
His life is quite a disturbing train wreck, which is still not at the end as there are still a lawsuit going on. I don't know what to say else. It's a long and deep rabbit hole, and I also wasted more time on this entry than the other 3 combined, but this is a perfect example of a horror cow, a story of someone who spread misinformation, hate, abuse and manipulate others into horrible stuff. And I just wanted to show you how serious of situation this is, and I hope you can understand this. Sadly, the internet is full of such a people, and you really need to watch out for whom you trust. If you have some interesting stories to share or people that should be on this list, leave a comment and they will be probably included on the next layer. There is also the first part of this chart if you haven't watched it. If you want to dive into something more milder, there is an iceberg chart about lolcows, which is quite more relaxing. If you're still watching, thank you so much. Remember to support the channel by simply liking the video or subscribing to the channel. If you feel extra generous, you can check out my Patreon. That's all from me now. I've been 𝙀𝙘𝙚𝙗, and until the next deep dive, stay safe.